news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. You know, I always like to take a moment and just say that I really appreciate those of you that listen to this program and rely on the information within it to help shape your understanding of the real estate market and the process, so that when it comes time for you to buy, sell, invest, you know, have your property get managed, you know the right questions to ask, right? You've been informed, you've been educated, and you turn it into a winning transaction for yourself. That's what this program is really all about. Now, I will also say that I'm here to help. I'm here to be a resource for you. There have been a lot of requests recently for different kinds of contractors. From just listeners from the program and then clients, and it's a challenge. It's an ever growing challenge, I guess I could say. But we do have a lot of really great contacts that can help you with whatever projects you have around the house. So if that's something that we can offer, just give me a buzz, text me, say, hey, I need a recommendation for XYZ. We're happy to be of service to you guys in that regard. So feel free to reach out to me, 843-800-0065, 843-800-0065, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com, and you can contact me that way. Lastly, you can just send me an email, Brian, that's Brian with an I, at brianbeattyteam.com, Brian at brianbeattyteam.com. So I want to talk a little bit about investment properties and property management. You know, I was looking at some numbers because I was having a review with some folks, and these are investors that we work with investors that do everything from going out and buying land as inexpensively as they can all over the state and then flipping it for profit. We have developers that will buy and entitle land. We have, of course, investors that will go and flip real estate. We have investors that will buy cash flowing income properties. We work with a lot of different types of folks that want to invest in real estate in some way, shape, or form, not just do a transaction because they want to sell and move, right? So I was having a discussion with a buddy of mine down in Florida who manages a few hundred rentals and has several himself, and we were just talking about different areas of Charleston and where some of the opportunities were. And I thought this might be interesting. I did this in preparation for the conversation with him and just wanted to share this information with you. But if you look at the median rent in some of the different areas of Charleston, the year-over-year increase is fairly shocking in some areas. And so let's just start with Charleston, right? Charleston, South Carolina, which could encompass downtown Charleston, West Ashley, James Island. But the median rent in Charleston, not from a zip code perspective, but from like a mailing address perspective, the median rent is $2,995. It has increased $545 since this time last year. Ouch. Mount Pleasant, median rent's $3,200. The year-over-year increase, $525 a month. Hanahan, it's $2,003 a month in median rent. That went up $441 from this time last year. You know, you look at 29492, which is Daniel Island, Wando, the area off Clements Ferry Road, right? The median rent there is $2,500, and that's up $373 compared to this time last year. And then you can look at something like Goose Creek, median rent of $1,999. Their year-over-year increase is $74. Somerville, $2,200 with a $50 annual increase. North Charleston, $1,775 with a $48 increase. And Ladson came in at $1,897 per month as the median rent, and that's actually down $28 compared to last year. So we were just, we were having this conversation about areas for opportunity. When we have a pool of investors that we normally pitch our investment properties to. And, from an agent's perspective that has worked with a lot of investors, and I myself am an investor, typically when you work with somebody to buy a house, you hire a real estate agent, right? You vet them. You make sure that they are the right fit for you, and you sign an agency agreement that's exclusive in nature that says, hey, you're my agent, and I'm your client. We're going to work together. We're going to make this happen. Well, as an investor, the real estate agent is like a lead source for you. So, I, as an owner of a real estate team and company, would never just subscribe to one individual lead source that I get all my business from, because if that went dry, then it has a direct relation to my business. I would ebb and flow with the success or failures of that particular lead source. So obviously we diversify. We've got about 30 different areas in which we generate business on a monthly basis. We're well diversified in that regard. And so investors are as well. Agents, from an investor perspective, are sometimes called bird dogs, right? We go out and we hunt out the deals. And so we do this analysis. We do a video that explains, our assumptions, the raw numbers, the calculations, the cap rate, the cash on cash return, the debt service ratio, the cash needed to fund the investment, the net after tax rate of return. There's a bunch of different ways that we display this data to help these investors make these decisions. And I'll just tell you really quickly that I was having a conversation with an agent on my team, and he said that, hey, I'm working with this investor, and I keep finding opportunities for them that fit their investment criteria. He told me what they're looking for. I'm finding it. I'm exceeding those expectations. But whenever I present these opportunities to them, it's taken them like 2 or 3 days to get back to me. And this is now the third time where I've presented him with a great investment opportunity, and then by the time he got back to me and said, yeah, I think I'd like to make an offer, the house is already gone. The investment deal is done. Well, remember a little earlier in the program, we were talking about how low inventory is. What that does is that stabilizes home prices. And so to find somebody that needs to sell their home that is in some form of distress and that will actually sell it for enough below fair market value for an investor to be interested in the first place, to make the numbers work, they are rare. They are few and far between. They're needles in haystacks. And so, my advice to the agent was to fire the investor, because they're not a real investor. They're a professional looker. If you're an investor in this market, you need to understand what your investment criteria is so that you can have people like me go out into the world and say, you said that your investment criteria is this. I have found that for you. In fact, it exceeds those expectations in these areas. I'm sending you a contract for review and signature. Not, let me think about it and let me come up with all these different reasons why I don't really like that deal. There's no emotion in investing. We are buying the cash flow. And if you don't, someone else will. And so that's what keeps happening to this one particular agent and investor. And they're just not prepared to make quick decisions. They are too afraid to jump into the investment. This is for clarity, this is going to be their first investment. So I understand the trepidation, right? It's a big deal. But these deals for investments are few and far between, and they are gone in an instant. So you have to be prepared. One of the key elements in being prepared is having a really good property management company that can estimate real rental income. That is one of the biggest mistakes that investors make, is they overassess how much rent they can get, and they underassess maintenance, renovations, just the overall cost of owning the asset. And, you can see how that might make sense for folks that don't necessarily know the investment world of real estate and don't have like real world, localized, data to draw from. First of all, the data in and of itself is hard to get. Secondly, just because you might see data on a piece of paper on a computer screen doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen to that house in that section of that market. And I know that's a bit complicated, but the property manager that you work with is a key partner in this investment-based decision, because they're going to be the ones to say, if you acquire this property in its current condition, this is how much you can rent it for. If, on the other hand, you did X, Y, and Z to the property, here's how much it's going to cost you. Here's how much more cash you're going to need to either borrow or bring. But here's what it does to the rent over time. And so we look at these properties, we make these analyses, and we provide them to a pool of investors. And then, they have to make quick decisions. Otherwise, those deals are gone. They go to somebody else. And so, again, the property management piece is vital. And now my property manager for Beatty Management is extremely qualified and does a fantastic job. And so when we built our property management company about a year and a half ago at this point, we wanted it to be built by investors for investors. Now, anybody, and to be clear, anybody that owns something other than their primary residence is an investor, right? So we wanted to streamline the cost associated with doing business and the cost associated with using our service. The challenge that a lot of folks have when it comes to property management isn't necessarily the property management fee on a monthly basis. Ours is 8%. Standard's more like 10. It's all these little things that they nickel and dime you over. It's, hey, the tenant, I was talking with a guy not yesterday, but earlier in the week, and we were talking about the property management company. He's like, every time a light bulb needed to be changed or a filter needed to be replaced, they were having to send someone out to the property, and I was getting upcharged because the property management company had to do their job and have someone go to the property. He's like, that's where they get you. I was like, you're absolutely right. So for us, we only make money in three ways. We make money when we place a tenant in your home, which is 1/2 of 1 month's rent. We charge an 8% monthly fee. And then if that tenant renews and they want to stay another year, then it's 1/2 of 1 month's rent again, because that's way better than that tenant leaving and then you paying to clean it up and then remarketing the property. It's going to take you more than half a month to find a new tenant anyways. So if you're interested in property management, if you own investment property or you would like to own investment property, plug into our network. We've got plenty of opportunities that come across our desk, but they're going to the folks that understand the criteria and know how to play red light, green light, right? And of course, it takes a partner, someone like me in our property management company, that understands that game and the criteria as well. So if you'd like to reach out to us and learn more about that, give me a call, 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or if you want to check out our property management page, it's BeattyMGMT.com for management. BeattyMGMT.com. All right, stick around, folks, for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA.